As a manager, your employees are coming to you constantly, giving you the monkey, their problems, and they're always trying to give them to you. So how do you get that monkey off your back? Now, I wore my brown hoodie for that intro to kind of showcase how different it can be when you don't have those blinders on. When the hoodie's on, you got that monkey, all you can see is directly what is in front of you. This one fire, this one small problem. And if you don't get that monkey off your back, you're not going to be able to see the weeds from the trees. Very important distinction. It's very common when you are a competent person and you're in leadership to want to solve all of the problems that everybody brings to you. But if you do that, you're going to pigeonhole yourself. You're going to make yourself shoestring everything together yourself. And the people who report to you, the people that have been working for you for years, are being trained by you to hand you their monkeys. Those monkeys may not be very important either. Big distinction here. That small fire that takes up half your day to solve might have taken your people 1 or 2 days to figure out. But it's okay. Let them take 1 or 2 days. Because if you get stuck going into the weeds every single time, you're training them that it's okay to pull you in to solve their problems. But that's why you're paying them, is to solve those small fires so that you can get above the weeds, so that you can focus on things that aren't just monkeys, but maybe the whole jungle. It's a complex problem. Almost every business book ever talks about how to be a good leader. But in reality, most people get less than 3 hours of leadership training a year, and we wonder why they don't know how to lead. It baffles me sometimes. I'm going to pivot to the carrot versus the stick conversation, because I think this is an effective way to get monkeys off your back. If you have lots of small problems coming to you, lots of small monkeys being piled up on your back, you need to figure out the ethos of the people who are bringing those monkeys to you. And you need to figure out whether it's appropriate to use the carrot or the stick. Now, I'm a big carrot guy. If you try to use the stick on me, I would rebel. It would never work on me. In a million years, the stick never has and never will work on me. In fact, generally when you try and tell me what to do, I will just ignore you entirely. But if you bring me options, I freaking love options. Give me as many options as possible, and I will pick one. And only the carrot works on me. Only the ability to say what's in it for me works with my ethos. So with the people who are bringing you as the leader a monkey, you need to figure out what is driving their ethos. What do they need? So I was on a conversation the other day with a friend. He said, I got a problem. I got this really smart worker. He's like twice as intelligent as I thought he was gonna be. And I was like, oh, that's a good thing. He said, yeah, but I asked him the other day how he likes his job. And he said, well, it's a job. And I don't know, how do you work with a guy where it's just a job for them? And I said, well, what does he care about? And he said, his family. I said, dude, this is an easy problem. Take his family to dinner. And he's like, well, he's a pretty private guy. And I said, I understand that. All right, start with lunch. Take him to lunch. Maybe today. Do you know how many kids he has? I said, yeah, he's got 2. What are their names? And he's got a daughter and a son. Daughter's name's Jane. Okay, what about the son? Well, he never really talks about the son. Interesting, I wonder why that is. When you take him to lunch, start the conversation about, how's Jane doing? Oh, Jane's doing great. Hey man, I noticed you never really talk about your son. I don't even know your son's name. Why is that? And when you go to that lunch and you discover son's got cancer, son's living in a different home because of a divorced relationship, or son's really struggling in school and he doesn't know what to do, guess what you just discovered? You discovered where his motivation is. He comes to work for that paycheck to go home to his family to take care of the family. And you will never make him a career man. It's not why he does what he does. He doesn't care about the money. Doesn't care about learning. He cares about his family. That's his ethos. And so if you try to use the stick, right? Let's say that this guy, he was leaving once or twice a week to go do something for his family. And you're like, man, this is killing productivity. Everybody's waiting for this guy in the warehouse, whatever it might be. Well, if you sat down and tried to give that dude a PIP, performance improvement plan, and said, man, you show up or else, what would happen? Well, if he only cares about his family, maybe for a couple of weeks, maybe a couple months, he'd show up and follow your plan. But what would happen around day 90? Fall right back into the same pattern. Performance improvement plan would not work in this situation. Why? Because you didn't get to the root of the problem. You gotta know the son's name, you gotta know what's making him leave work, and you gotta incentivize and help them. Taking the family to dinner makes it about his family. It's what Jesus would do, quite frankly. Right? Now a few of you are gonna be like, what? Why is he talking about Jesus all of a sudden? I'm talking about business. I get it. But okay, so maybe it doesn't have to be Jesus for you. Maybe it could be, what would Buddha do? What would, whoever would do, right? What would my father do? What would a great business leader do here? Most good leaders, the avatars of the world, all have one thing in common. They always lead with intent to make those around them successful. My definition of leadership is the ability to create other leaders. That means I have to empower people. If I empower people, they stop bringing their monkeys to me. So when I talk about what would Jesus do, what I'm trying to do is to change the script here to help connect the dots on what's going to make somebody more successful. What would make this guy in that warehouse who's leaving a couple times a week to deal with some family stuff more successful? Would a performance improvement plan make a difference? Probably not. But helping that family, offering a Disneyland vacation if they hit their metrics this quarter, and making it about their family, make a big difference for that individual. But make it about their ethos instead of yours, right? Because you can't change that person, nor should you try. Managing each individual person how they want to be managed, treating them how they want to be treated, is the platinum rule. If the golden rule is treat others like you want to be treated, then the platinum rule is treat them how they want to be treated. Very hard to do, very difficult, because it means you got to change your own behavior more than you want to change theirs. But that's the best way to change that behavior. Getting that monkey off your back will be so relieving. How do you do that? Well, you build a culture, create core values where others around you understand what your expectations are. They understand the principles behind what you're trying to accomplish. They know where that true North Star is. They can identify it in the sky, and they know we're heading that direction. That's what core values do. It's a framework. Sometimes, though, you got to go a little bit deeper. Okay, so let's say that on average, they're bringing 5 monkeys a day to you. And during the week, if you add up all those monkeys, you got 25 monkeys. That's a lot of monkeys. You're running a zoo by now. But how many of those monkeys really needed your attention? 1 of the 25? 3 of the 25? Pick a number. Think about it. So once you understand how many monkeys you truly wanted to be involved in, you can then set the tone. You call a meeting. Hello, everybody. I'm calling this meeting today because here are the 25 monkeys that were brought to me this past week. You write them out on the whiteboard. If you're in a Zoom meeting, you put it up on a screen in a Google Doc. I have bucketed these into 2 groups. In group 1, these monkeys cost less than, throw a number up, $5,000. And guys, I don't want to be dealing with anything that costs the company less than $5,000. Here are 22 examples of what costs less than $5,000, but you guys came to me in the last 7 days. I want you to stop doing that. Then, here's the other column. Here are 2 or 3 monkeys you guys brought to me this week, which were actually apes. They would have cost the company $10,000 on this one, $23,000 on this one, and $1 million on this one. All right, because it's $1 million idea, it was biz dev, whatever it might be. I want to be spending my time working on apes, not on monkeys. And the next time a monkey comes up, here are my principles, here are my core values. I want you to solve this next monkey by following these core values. And if you can't do that, maybe it's an ape. If you know that this problem will cost the company more than, line in the sand, $10,000, bring it to me. I want to know about it if it's $10,000, whatever number makes sense for your business at that time. And then bring it to me, right? There's a book called The 4-Hour Workweek. I don't actually believe that's a possible lifestyle. I would probably indict 80% of that book, but I have the ability to take the 20% I like from this book and the 5% from that book and the 70% from this other book and create my own kind of methodology. There's one thing I really like about the 4-Hour Workweek book, and it's this. It teaches you that if you just allow your people to solve those problems, you give them the framework and you set them up in such a way that they can solve the problem, and they know when to bring something to you and when not to bring something to you, and it's super easy to understand. There's a bright line, there's a line in the sand, there's a framework involved. What happens is they start solving the problems. Those monkeys start getting solved at a lower level. They are lower level problems to begin with, and they should never have come up. But what frequently happens is leaders, for whatever reason, whether it's their, love to help others, maybe it's they've got a God complex and they look down and they say, I just really want to help them out. But here's the thing, how often has God, intervened in your life? Right? Now, for those that are super spiritual, you might say every day. Sure, okay. But like, I'm a God-given believer, but I also believe that God is bound by rules and he allows us to make decisions on our own. I think God gave me everything I need. And I don't think he's going to come down and interfere. I don't think he's going to come down and just like all of a sudden cause some sort of event that will change something per se, right? And so with that in mind, why are you playing God? Why are you going into your business and playing with the world, playing with the playground, playing with the zoo that you've set up? Every leader ever who is disgusted, dissatisfied with the environment that they're in needs to take a nice look in the mirror, because you're the one that made it. You allowed the monkeys to come on your back. You built the system. And if you didn't build the system, you allowed somebody else to build it, and it's still your fault. Nice little book here by Jocko above me on my left that talks about extreme ownership. And there is no such thing as a bad team. Chapter 2 in that book. It's a great chapter. I freaking love that chapter. And there's only such a thing as a bad leader. Well, if you teach the team to come to you on every monkey, they will continue to do that. You have given them dopamine hits. Now, you willingly took those dopamine hits yourself. Oh, I love solving problems. I love the chaos. I'm an impatient, eager, intense individual who just loves getting in there. And when I solve something, it just makes my day. But does it make your year? Does it make your quarter? Did you hit your quarterly goals? How much closer are you to working on that $1 million business development project when you spend your time working on those monkeys instead of those apes? Right? Maybe you just really care and are trying to help buoy up the team. Maybe you're just a micromanager and you can't help yourself. But if you're a micromanager, you may not need them to begin with. Might as well do it yourself. There is a lot of personality profiles out there that it's very difficult for those individuals to delegate, right? It's difficult to delegate if you're a reactive person. Reactive people love doing things themselves because they don't have the ability to proactively delegate to scale themselves or to scale systems. It's very difficult to scale systems. It's very difficult to create set of ecosystems. Reactive people do not believe others can perform the same task to their caliber of talent. This doesn't matter how good you are at something. If you're a reactive person, you struggle to allow others to do it. And if you're a reactive person, when somebody brings a monkey to you, you end up doing it yourself. That's a problem because you can only take so many monkeys on. And if you want to work on those big proactive tasks, you have to learn to empower your people to deal with the zoo, to deal with those monkeys. I'm an 8-hour sleep guy. I love to be fully functional the next day. And one of the best ways for me to get a good night's sleep is to clear my mind, get everything out of it. So one of the things that I do, and I'm a very disciplined person about doing this, is I get all of the ideas out of my head. If you have too many ideas floating in your head, instead of them just doing this, they're gonna do this. They're gonna make you crazy because they're gonna be swirling and swirling in your head and you're not gonna be able to make heads or tails of it. And then when that small monkey comes in front of you, you're like, man, I'd rather deal with the small monkey than to deal with this, right? Like you don't wanna deal with the crazy god of chaos. That's very difficult. Nobody wants to face their inner dragon. So that's what you do. You're like, I got on my right hand, I could be like, face dragon. Or left hand, deal with the monkey. Oh man, that dragon's too big for me. I don't want to deal with the dragon today. I'll go deal with the monkey, right? That's what happens. That's how you end up into your situation. And you get that dopamine hit when you go solve that one stupid monkey. Would have taken you an hour, but takes the team a whole day to process that stupid monkey. But how long will it take you to tackle that dragon? That's the bigger question. That dragon that creates the god of chaos and the vortex of thoughts that are going into your head. How do you face that? Very, very difficult. It takes discipline to face the dragon. And you can't beat the dragon with one single movement. You know, if we were thinking about, like, actually envision a dragon was in front of us right now. Is one bow and arrow going to take it out? Not unless we've got the secret Lord of the Rings bow and arrow from The Hobbit or whatever. Not going to happen. Would a single sword movement take out that dragon? Nope. The adventurer's going to have to do better than that. You're going to have a real fight with that dragon. A monkey, though, man, throw that monkey a banana. He's happy again. He's good. Pretty easy to deal with the monkey. But that dragon, oh man, you're going to have to really sink deep on this one, guys. You're going to have to really think about that dragon. That dragon, you know what I'm talking about. That one thing that it's holding you back that you're like, man, if I just had the time to deal with this, everything would change. If I could just hire competent people, they would take away all of my problems. Why can't my staff do this? I don't understand. It's you. It's not the staff. It's you guys. You get the team that you build. That dragon needs to be slain. Because if you don't slay the dragon, you can't get the hoard of gold that dragon's sitting on. Nope. You'll be dealing with monkeys and bananas for the rest of your life, unless you make a change. So how do you get time to deal with the dragon? You let somebody else deal with the monkeys. You empower them. You give them a framework. You give them the North Star and core values. You give them the lines in the sand. You set up the sandbox. and you stay in this sandbox. And if you leave the sandbox, I will come correct, and I will put you back in the sandbox. Or if you need to leave the sandbox, come ask for my permission, and I will help you. And maybe we need to adjust the sandbox. Maybe we need more sand. Maybe we need to draw different lines. Maybe we need to shrink the sandbox. Maybe Mary and Jane can't play in the same sandbox together. So we cut that sandbox in half and we separate the sandboxes. When you don't have sandboxes, you create politics. When it's unclear what you want, the people that work from you will guess. What happens when people guess? They get it wrong sometimes, more often than not, because they can't read your mind. They don't have that power. You have to be clear on the vision. That's why when we look at business books like Traction, great business book, the system that is in this book first starts with vision. Where do you want to go? If you can't tell your people what the overarching mission is, maybe you can't even articulate it to yourself. The dragon that you have to slay today might start with vision and knowing what to do. Sometimes it's very lonely at the top as a leader. You have to know where to go at all times. But the most important thing a CEO does, a business leader, an entrepreneur, is to know the answer to these questions. Where did we come from? Why are we here? And where are we going? If you can't answer those questions, you cannot be an effective leader. If you can't be an effective leader, you are going to be a zookeeper. Maybe you're happy with that. That's okay. But if you want to be more than a zookeeper, you want to get that dragon's treasure chest, that hoard of gold waiting for you in the hill over there, you got to go on a mission. You got to do the unscalable. You got to create a framework. You got to make a system. And you got to stick to it. You got to be disciplined. You got to hire the right party. Maybe for your Dungeons and Dragons party, you need a paladin, a thief, a wizard, and a warrior. Maybe you just need some elements of that. But it's a lot easier if you hire a diverse set of competencies. Notice how I didn't say a diverse set of people. I said competencies. Because competencies are what run businesses. That's where you get true value. And you don't need a lot of the things that are advocated today. It's really as simple as competency and value. If somebody's competent and they offer value to a business, they're going to make you happy. And if they don't do those things, they're not going to make you happy unless you just like hanging out with people. And you don't need a business to hang out with people. If you want to be a friend, you can do that many other ways. You can go to a hobby. You can leave your business and exit for the night and go out and hang out with your buddies. Whatever you want to do, you can do those things. But at work, there is a tit-for-tat given relationship, an exchange of value. And what exchange you want to give is what you get in return. So if you give bananas out, you're going to have a lot of monkeys. But if you start giving out a shield to your paladin, you give a staff to your wizard, and you tell them, we're going north and we're going to slay that dragon up in that mountain. And we're going to do something big, bold, and here is the thing that we're doing. Maybe you don't save babies. Maybe you're not in the business of curing cancer. Maybe you're not in the business of bringing clean water to Africa. But you do something that affects people. At my Amazon guy, I help brands grow on Amazon. I do the unscalable, one ticket at a time, fighting Amazon seller support. That's my dragon. It's a huge dragon. It's not my personal dragon, however, but that's the dragon every Amazon brand owner has as an entrepreneur. They want to grow. They want top line revenue. They want more product. They want more customers. And they want more sales. And they want more profit. They want more money in the bank. And their dragon is, how in the world do I do all of that? They hire me to fight that dragon for them. I am a jam-packed Dungeons and Dragons party ready to go. We already have the paladin, the wizard, the thief, and the barbarian, and whatever else. Whatever it takes to break down those walls, to get into that cavern where the dragon is sitting on top of the horde. And we don't win every time. We don't slay every dragon we face. But that's the system we built to help brand owners do that. It's very difficult being a brand owner selling on Amazon. You have to deal with a lot of things. A lot of different techniques are required. A lot of knowledge. A lot of road rash has to be learned. Right? If you don't have mistakes, you just simply don't know. It hasn't cost you yet. You can't just gain some knowledge. The game is always changing. The transparency or lack thereof on the Amazon platform is non-existent. But that's the business that I'm in. It's about slaying dragons. Because if I was only in the business of handing out bananas to monkeys, I'd be in a very different business right now. Very different. So, slay your dragon today, guys. Figure out what is preventing you. What is it that you need to stop doing? What is it that you need to start doing? What do you need to do more of? These are 3 questions I always ask everybody around me. I ask them of my employees, and I ask them of my customers. I like the blue ocean strategy. There's a lot of red ocean out there, and there is actually a business book called Blue Ocean. And the whole thesis behind it is give value to your customers. If you start chasing your competitor and trying to do what your competitor does, that is a red ocean strategy. Why? Because you're going to start becoming your competitor. You're going to start doing what they do. Maybe it works. But a real blue ocean strategy will get you access to much more infinite value. There's a reason why I was able to generate such a fast-growing business. I asked customers what they wanted, and I gave it to them. And I start businesses all the time, and I'm experimenting and trying to figure out, does the customer want this? Maybe they want this. Man, that launch didn't do so well. Guess customers don't really want that. And I started Pope Plus just the other day. A monthly service where you get access to me. We have a Slack community. You have the ability to ask me questions anytime you like. We have a weekly meeting where we go in and slay your dragons. And it's a lower cost option than hiring my full team, because instead of using my team, you have to do the work. And we charge a much lower price to do Pope Plus than we do the agency fee. And that's how I'm going to scale various different dragon slaying techniques. It's going to attract a different customer. It's going to be a very different service. And I try and pivot around and try and figure out what my customers want, and that's my blue ocean strategy. It's also why I do crazy things my competitors are unwilling to do. I have BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals. Get that from the business book, Good to Great. And I have goals that are so large and ridiculous that everybody looks at me and goes, what? We're going to do that? And I'm like, yeah, we're going to do that. And then usually when I outline my latest BHAG, people are just generally, and this is my own employees. They'll be like, oh, Steven's at it again. Is he really serious about this? And I'll be like, yeah, I'm serious about this. And we're going to meet daily until we make it happen. And more often than not, it takes 3 meetings before they get it, right? It takes 3 meetings, 3 days of 3 meetings where I tell them the vision, tell them how we're going to do it, and then I ask for daily updates on that. Now, some of you are going to confuse this with monkeys and not understand what I'm actually doing is slaying dragons. You're like, what do you mean you meet daily and ask them for updates on this? Isn't that micromanaging? It is not. It's not micromanaging. What it is setting the mission, setting the tone, and checking in to make sure they understand it. Because if you just say this thing one time, people are going to nod their heads and move on, and you go right back to what they were doing before you said that thing. It is ineffective leadership to say something one time and expect everybody to just pivot around. That's not how leadership works. That'd be akin to sitting on the Titanic and saying, "There's an iceberg," and then not screaming a second time, and not going down to the boiler room and making sure and verifying, "Hey, did you really make that change so we don't hit that iceberg?" It takes a lot of energy to go to that North Star and that vision, which is why you can't be dealing with those daily fires, which is why you can't be handing out bananas and helping your monkeys on a daily basis. You have to go sink your teeth into that one big thing. What is that one big thing that if you could just put all of your time and effort into, it would change everything? That's the dragon you got to go slay. That's the dragon you got to go prepare for and go do different things about. Destroy the distractions around you and go slay your dragon. Has been a while since I've done a leadership rant like this and gone into some detail. If you like this video, let me know in the comments section. Add the phrase, "how to get rid of your monkey," or something along those effects. Let's see if we can rank this video for getting rid of monkeys. My name is Stephen Pope. I'm the founder of My Amazon Guide. And you can find me over at myamazonguide.com.